Hello, welcome to day 85 of my 100-day storytelling challenge. My goal was to tell 100 stories suitable for early childhood education over a period of 100 days in ideally 100 different ways. Wooden spoons, finger play, Play-Doh, wooden puppets, string puppets, helicopter storytelling, singing, poems, mime, sign language, drawing, quite a few. There's 85 there now, and they're mostly different, and quite remarkable, really. I'm quite amazed. I feel like an expert. Anyway, today I wanted to speak to you about changing a story. A couple of days ago, I talked about the little gingerbread man, and whether one should stop at the end in the river and ask the children what they think, whether or not we should rescue the little gingerbread man, whether he is doomed to his fate. And I think it's a very interesting and important question, this idea of adapting stories. I remember being in one particular childcare centre where they read 3 stories of how Maui was tossed into the sea by his mother in a topknot, and she compared 3 different books. I remember that because I was quite interested. And she commented on the pictures and how they'd taken a different little way of doing it. And I think it's a wonderful thing to do, because I think what you're saying is there are many ways to tell a story, and you have a right to change it. And it's good to be aware that there's more than one version to every story, especially in these current days of Black Lives Matter. There's a wonderful TED talk by a woman called The Danger of a Single Story, a woman from Africa. I have to put it in the prologue or whatever it's called that I put with a video. So this story is about the little red hen. I saw this in a second-hand shop and thought, if I ever do the little red hen, I need her. She's great, huh? But I would never normally tell the story of the little red hen to children because I don't like her. I find her a priggish, self-righteous, smug little character, and so I changed it. I rewrote it to advocate for the values that I think are important. When I was thinking about the gingerbread man, maybe that story was designed as a warning story to children to remember that not everybody is nice. In fact, the entire place wants to eat you, and one of them will eat you. And maybe that was a useful warning. And again, I think about people who are brought up. I mean, I've just been hearing a lot of different stories, and I think I'm really beginning to appreciate, particularly from the point of view of a mother or a parent, the trauma almost of having to explain to your child how to stay safe and not get themselves killed, especially if they're boys. And so a story like that might be very appropriate. But just a reminder that there's all sorts of bad things that might happen. But it's just, does one create resilience and strength and resourcefulness in a child by telling them scary things that might happen to you? Or does one achieve that by telling stories of people who behave in more ethical ways and less manipulative? So this story I changed, and I quite like my version, and I certainly enjoy telling it. When I did tell it, it was in a kindergarten where we told the same story for 5 days in a row, and I could really get behind this story and the adventures and the different things that happened to the chicken in the story. She comes from Australia. Says she's a fair dinkum hand-carved bird. She's not really a native bird, is she? But well, maybe she is some different sort of bird. I don't know her. I think her as a little red hen. So that's the story for today, and I encourage you to change stories too. I changed the Billy Goat Gruff too, didn't I? And the Little Pigs is so many variables that you don't even know which was the original now. I changed the Jack and the Beanstalk. I changed, I seem to change quite a few. I don't know why I have this question about whether one should or not. I do. It's a bit late now. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy the story. I'll see you on day 86. Thank you. Once upon a time, there was a little red hen who lived on a farm. Also on that farm there was a dog and a cat and a duck and many other animals. In the distance you could see the windmill which ground the wheat to make flour. Well, one day the little red hen was scratching and scratching because she was a very busy little creature, and she found a pile of wheat, a little mound of grain. Now she knew a thing or two, and she knew if you planted them in the spring and kept them watered, they would grow, and each grain would produce a plant, and every plant could have 20 or 30 grains of wheat growing at the top. And so she decided to plant the grains and look after them. And she went and she found cat and dog and duck and asked if they would like her to help to plant the wheat. Cat was sunbathing and stretched out in the warm sun. "No, I don't want to help. I'm lying in the sun, and it doesn't sound like fun." Dog was lying in the sun as well, and said, "No, it sounds rather boring. I'd rather be snoring." And Duck just floated on the pond and said nothing at all. So the little red hen sighed and started to walk to the field with her basket of grain, when she heard a little voice saying, "Oh, help!" And she looked round, and there was a little blue mouse with quivering whiskers and bright eyes, who said, "I like to help, and I've never planted wheat. I'll help you." And so down to the field they went, carrying the basket together. The little red hen scratched the rows, and between the two of them they dropped the grains of wheat into the holes in the soil. And then they managed to get a bucket, and they carried it down to the river to fill it up with water, to give it to the grains. They carefully carried it back and splashed a little bit of water on each grain so it might grow. Well, it only did one row, so they had to go back for more. And what with all their tugging and pulling and spilling the first time, the bank was quite muddy, and they fell in. Splish and splash! Neither of them could swim, and they thrashed about in some alarm, wondering if they would get swept out to sea or what would happen. When suddenly they hit a big branch that was fallen over the stream, and they were able to scramble out onto the bank and dry off in the sun. "Phew!" said the mouse. "Yes," said the little red hen, "that was very scary. But you know, it was also a little bit exciting. And I think that if I practiced every day, there's a possibility that I might get quite good at swimming." "Oh, what a good idea!" said the mouse. And so it was that every day, when they watered the wheat, they also had a practice swim. Sometimes Mouse would swim a little bit too, but mostly he ran along the bank, shouting encouragement, and sometimes he would ride on the back of the little red hen. And so it was. When summer passed, they were both very good swimmers, and the autumn leaves were starting to turn rusty gold, and the wheat was ready to harvest. Well, now was a new adventure. They needed to take it to the mill to get it ground. The little red hen asked the cat and the dog and the duck, and the cat said, "No, I need to keep myself fresh and clean. I'm not keen." And dog growled out, "I've got a bone to bury. I haven't got time to carry and ferry." And duck said nothing at all. So the little red hen set off for the windmill with her heavy sack of grain, when she heard a cheerful little voice saying, "I'll help. I've never been to the windmill, and I've never seen wheat being ground into flour. Can I come?" "You certainly can," said the little red hen, "and thank you." So off they went, dragging the heavy sack of grain between them. Well, the mill was very exciting, with the big stones grinding and the big windmill blades going round and round, blown by the wind. And he offered to show them the blades, and they went up and up and up into the top of the mill, and they came to a little door, and you could step outside and stand on a balcony and see the sails whooshing past. And then the miller said something quite wonderful. He said he had a little abseiling harness that the mouse could wear, and he would stop the blades and he could climb on and go whooshing past. "Oh, I would love to fly," said the little mouse. So the miller stopped the blades, and the mouse got in, and he started the sails spinning around again. And the little red hen stood on the balcony and waved as the mouse went by. Whoosh, whoosh! Oh me, oh my! You could hear the little shrieks of delight from Mouse every time he sailed past the mill. And so the flour was ready, and the little red hen made the bread. And then she called out dog and cat and duck if they would like to help her bake it on the fire. And Cat said, "No, no, I've been snoozing all afternoon and I'll need to take another nap very, very soon." And Dog said, "Oh, chasing sticks can be a lot of fun for a dog, but gathering them for a fire sounds like a bit of a slog. Sorry, no." And Duck said nothing at all. The farmer's wife helped them light the fire, and they cooked that bread in a camp oven. And they roasted marshmallows, and Little Red Hen and the Mouse told stories and sang songs, and played with sparklers, making patterns in the dark, while they waited for it to die down so they could eat the bread. And when the bread was done and was golden and crusty, the Little Red Hen spread it on a picnic cloth and got some butter and called out to Dog and Cat and Duck, "Do you want to help eat the bread?" And they all came running, saying, "Yes, yes, I would like to help you eat the bread." And the Little Red Hen looked at them and thought, "Well, you didn't help at all." But she said, "Well, you old sillies, you missed out on swimming, and you missed out on flying, and you missed out on bonfires and marshmallows, so you better not miss out on yummy homemade bread. Come on, you lazy scallywags." And so they all helped the Little Red Hen and the Little Blue Mouse to eat the yummy, crusty loaf of bread that the Little Red Hen and the Little Mouse had grown and ground and baked.